getting ready for Miss Natasha Second. She's the chairman of the TPP. And yeah, all right, so she's here now. And it's good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Brother B. Good morning to Tobago and
so
everyone.
I said it before, I will say it again. Mr. Farley Chavez Augustin, phenomenal leader. Given that the TPP was just formed and would have a landslide victory in Tobago, wiped out the PNM, what contributed to that in your view?
Well, we were very strategic in our approach. The political leader himself, he has a very strong disposition. It would have come from both his religious background and his education and his family life. He doesn't run out to respond to everything. Sometimes people feel that he should answer quicker, but he absorbs things, he meditates on it before he reacts. And together as a team, because we are a well-structured organization, we thought things through and we managed the issues as they came. And we saved some things up and then we hit for 6.
And so the strategy going into this election, obviously the slogan, 60,000 crabs in a barrel, given that was the statement made at the airport, and you all took that and made it work for you. At one time it was so, you struggled to embrace what the strategy was. However, there were other components that contribute. We'll get to the selection of the candidates. Obviously, you yourself threw your hat in the ring.
Yes.
But let's talk, besides the planning and the unit that came together to strategize and to go forward. Obviously, your campaign managers for both candidates worked effectively. Let's put all that into a nutshell and speak to how that contributed to the success as well.
Of course, the election day machinery is a separate component. And even though we are a young party, we comprise a number of different persons with a number of experiences. So we know how to manage elections. We know how to organize our election day workers. We know how to prepare all of the activities that have to go with it, the messaging, how to build the theme, and how to mobilize persons, the canvassing. So all of the persons involved in the political movement would have understood their role. We would have created a structure for the election, to manage the election. Mrs. Natasha Charles Pantin, Assemblyman Pantin, she was the general manager of that campaign. And so we created a structure, organized our budget, organized our people, and mobilized. And so that's what we got.
Right. So I saw the launch of, and the announcement rather, of the two candidates, the official announcement. You chaired you were chairman.
Yes.
And of course, so let's come now to the selections of the two candidates. Obviously, you threw your hat in the ring in the East.
Yes.
And there were others who felt that they should have gotten the nod. However, it redounded to Mr. Thomas.
David Thomas
getting the nod. All right. So, and during that period, there is a little tension among members because there are people who would support you, some wouldn't support, and then of course you have to come to the gelling, or after the final decision was made, after the screening and the announcement, you have to forget all about you and just speak about the little tension leading up to who will be chosen and how, when that person is chosen, what do you do after that?
Well, it's exciting tension, and it's something that you understand and you appreciate because you're competing. You're doing a little internal competition before you go out to make sure that you win the seat, because when you win, the entire organization wins and everybody is taken care of. So you would have the action groups and individuals determining who they support more, for what reason, etc. And once the screening committee makes the decision, you understand that you're all part of a team, and then you have to support and you have to do what you need to do to ensure that you win. So a mature approach to it, tension, excitement is the same thing. It gives you that momentum to move on and to do what you need to do to win.
Very good. Right.
Good attitude.
Mr. Thomas was on in the West, however, Nazi Sampson, Mr. Joel Sampson, aka Nazi, was selected. Obviously, there was some even more tension in these because there are those who anticipated that they would get the nod.
Yes.
What was noteworthy is Barry Nelson's when he spoke. And, he said that, he gave Nazi his full support. And he said that publicly. There are those who felt that, look, I'm not really supporting. However, you all came and you gelled nicely, and at the end of the day, the full support for the two candidates that gave you the success. All right, so we covered that. We won't get into all of that again.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about these two candidates that are now in Parliament. They are MPs without portfolio, obviously, because they are two standalone or a party that is independent going into the Parliament. How would they function effectively? What is the plan? And you might not share everything, but obviously the Tobagonian is looking forward for representation from these two candidates.
Well, they have, if you would have paid attention to when I came before to the set, they have the opportunity to have that voice in Parliament to speak on all of the issues, all of the policies relating to the nation, relating to Tobago, etc., to contribute to the various committees and so on in the same way. And they will have the time to continue to build Tobago and the movement and the revolution towards us getting everything that we deserve in terms of larger percentage of the budget, autonomy, and all of the governance structures that come with autonomy. So they have a very powerful position. Being standalone MPs, your focus is on being a representative for Tobago, and that is what Tobagonians wanted ultimately.
All right, so the time there might be it will not have the tension, obviously the relationship with the Kamala administration and the TPP as a relationship, right?
Yes.
If there's anything you bring to bring clarity to, so that we understand clearly, so that they would have more or less a listening ear, given that they are speaking to a government that gives, based on what Kamala Prasad-Biswas has said, and of course the Chief Secretary, about the relationship. It should be less confrontational and less, the noise. And so let's speak to that. Obviously, conversation has already started in terms of what we anticipate would be a good relationship.
We are extremely optimistic, and symbolism is a good thing. When the Prime Minister was sworn in, we noticed where she physically placed our Chief Secretary next to the Attorney General. He would have been listed in the protocol list. His name would have been called and his position repeatedly, him and his wife. And while she was swearing in, she would have declared that that relationship is important on a national level. Very, very critical. So we are now at the table, and I'm so proud of Tobago. I'm so proud that they understood the message. You have to understand that the only way you're going to be participating in real governance and you're actually going to get things is if you are really on the table and you're not afraid based on your partisan relationships or so. You are able to have a mature conversation because you brought something to the table. You brought 2 seats to the table, 2 independent, powerful voices. You know what you want for Tobago. You want autonomy, you want more funding, you want to be able to provide your Scarborough Sec, your early childhood centers. You want things. And you now have a situation where you have that relationship where the discussion is at that level of equity and respect. So yes, the symbolism was good on that first day.
Right. So the thing, and we eagerly anticipate what the provisions would be. And I'm saying that given, again, life is about relationships.
Yes.
If we did not have a relationship, you were not going to be here this morning. So let me call Natasha Second and see if she's available to come. Oh yes, Channel 5 are coming because there's a relationship.
Yes.
All right. So let's stay there. All right. We anticipate, first of all, on the agenda was said by the Chief Secretary, and maybe we need to have him in, when we spoke about the first matter, which is the self-governance matter. Obviously, there are amendments that has to be accommodated, our lawmaking powers particularly, and other issues dealing with that question of self-governance. Do you get the impression, you said you're cautiously optimistic, do you get the impression that that will be taken care of this time around? And I'm saying that because we have had the Vanilla Toppin and the Delman Baker during that UNC coalition issue. And nothing came of it except green paper and white paper and so on. Do you, and I guess you know this, you've been there, so you know what needs to be done.
Yes.
And maybe the minds who have been in the vineyard fighting for this maybe need to be part of the negotiation going forward.
Yes, definitely. The consultation would be done afresh in terms of having people just understand the process and say what the mandate is from Tobago. But we are at the sort of penultimate juncture where ultimately all of us have arrived at a space where you could only give the autonomy now, you know. The PNM has sort of hinted to that, and still did say, you know, well, the PNM will support. Because what are you going to do? You arrive at a space where you say, all of us will support, and now you're going to not support. So they're in a position where they will need to support. The government has demonstrated that they are in support of Tobago, and they will do what it takes to help Tobago to equalize in terms of our economy or social development and so on. So they're going to most likely say yes, and then we have the two Tobago. So it is the time, it is the right time, it is that we have arrived at the time.
Very good. All right, quickly, the Nazi replacement, or Mr. Joel Sampson replacement as a THA, he was in the Secretary of Community Development and Sports.
Yes.
His replacement, any word on who is to replace him?
Coming very, very soon. It's not just that. The thing about what we have done together as a people with this election is that a number of other opportunities have come up, apart from the replacement. So somebody will have the opportunity to be secretary. You have opportunities to serve on state boards. You have opportunities to be able to lead in governance. So a number of Tobagonians are likely to have very lucrative opportunities, a number of families within our communities. So those things are being rolled out, they're being discussed right now, and you will be the first to know when it actually happens. All right,
I wouldn't get into, I was made aware that his salary is going to be less as an MP. We were hoping yesterday when we saw the two, although the government does not owe the TPP a position in governance, but there was that crossing of the finger, and they are just going to be MPs. No word on whether there's still maybe some consideration, maybe down the road, that they maybe fit in some ministry of some sort.
Well, politics is fluid, and things happen, and environments may change, etc. Our focus would be on our THA now. Remember, we are a young party, so we're looking at encouraging persons to join our different arms, or women's arm, youth arm, etc., and to move. We want a momentum and we want a movement. So you don't know what the future will hold, but for now we want to be steady and sober, and these are two young, two humble members. They're not too concerned about the salary good either way, whether it's just an MP or it's a big fat salary. It's not a lower level public servant salary.
Fine.
So it'll be all right.
Right. You mentioned THA well, you didn't say election, but I'm going there. This momentum, obviously, there is confidence in the party. You get it still. You see people with still flags on their cars. You see that still the presence of the TPP in the psyche of the Tobagonian, given this landslide in Tobago, and clearly wiped out the two oppositions and so on. Going forward, THA election is due very soon. We don't know when, but it's supposed to be in this year. Plans going forward in terms of mobilization and all of that.
So we're confident and we're proud, but we're not showing off or arrogant. So we do understand that the people will always be the determining factor. So we're going to continue to work with the people. We're going to look at one of the things our political leaders said on the hustings was, you know, during the campaign, when we were going around, we learned about the good and the bad and the ugly. So we will be amending those things. We will be chatting with those we have actually in representation, public representation, and we will be improving where we need to improve and so on, because we want 150% grade before we hit the election.
All right, well, I could see you exhuming with the confidence as you speak, and it's clear that based on the momentum now, a couple of months away, we'll still have that momentum going into the THA election. So again, congratulations, and of course, we need to have Fali, though, the Chief Secretary.
Yes.
So influence,
yes,
tell him
I'll chat with him.
Yeah, brother, you want to talk with him. All right, with that. All right, so yeah, so we want to thank you very much. In closing, in your closing comments, we want to thank you.
Thank you, Tobago. We are extremely proud that you paid attention to the message and you came out in your numbers. Parties always need funding. Our very first fundraiser will be on the 23rd of May, Friday the 23rd of May, and we'll come back to chat about that because we have bills to pay. Yes. I want to encourage you to come, be part of our organization, join our Women's Council or Youth Council. We have a welfare committee as well. We are located at the Port Mall, 3rd floor. So, see you there.
Excellent. And thank you again, and all the best to you. All right?
Thank you.
It was indeed a pleasure.